Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your #1 source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Investing in America. President Biden is headed to Durham, where he'll highlight job growth. We'll have live team coverage over the next hour.
Plus, flags are flying at half-staff at the White House and across the nation in honor of the victims of the mass shooting in Nashville. This as officers release new body camera video of their response.
Tracking rain that is likely to arrive tonight, but already we're beginning to see a few isolated showers back to the west. I'll show you why it will take so long for it to reach us.
We are less than an hour away from President Joe Biden's expected arrival to our state, where he'll be kicking off a national tour about investing in America in Durham. Good afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey in for Renee Chu. Thanks for joining us. We do have live team coverage of the president's visit. Matt Tallhelm is at the airport awaiting Air Force One. But we're going to begin with Durham reporter Sarah Kruger, who is at Wolf Speed right now, where the president will be speaking. Sarah?
Michelle, out of the entire country, this Durham company will be the first stop on the tour. The president is expected to arrive here in about an hour, and you can see behind me, the stage is very much set for him. We just all went through some intense security to arrive here, and now we wait for the president. Now, Wolfspeed, where we are, is a manufacturer of semiconductors. The company recently announced a $5 billion investment to expand their presence here in North Carolina. The president's national tour focuses on what his administration sees as their successes economically. Biden says more than $435 billion in private manufacturing commitments have been made since he took office. That includes $16 billion right here in North Carolina. We talked with the CEO of Wolfspeed ahead of this visit.
You know, it's really an honor to be the first stop on this tour for the president. And of course, you know, silicon carbide is at the heart of what we do. It's grown here, right here in North Carolina. It's very, very exciting. The business right now is basically exploding with the adoption of electric vehicles and the adoption of silicon carbide in electric vehicles.
And again, the president is expected to arrive here around 1 o'clock. From there, he will go on a tour of the facility and then give some remarks up here at the podium. Of course, we will be here. We have team coverage on this story all day long. Michelle and Jeff.
All right, Sarah Kruger live at Wolf Speed for us. Thank you, Sarah.
And right now we have a live look, Marine One right now, where President Biden is on and about to transfer over into Air Force One to make the trip down here to RDU. So a much anticipated day for both Wolfspeed and the Triangle area.
And just a short time ago, police released body camera footage of that deadly school shooting in Nashville. The video shows what happened when officers entered the building and when they encountered the shooter. WRAL's Brian Schrader watched the disturbing video and joins us live in our newsroom with what it reveals. Brian.
Michelle, around 10:30 this morning, Metro Nashville police released that body camera video of their response to the shooting. We're going to show you some of that video, starting with the moment that officers went into the school. Officers make their way down a hallway, checking classrooms. Now, we do not see or hear any students in this video. The officers hear gunfire, then run upstairs and confront 28-year-old Audrey Hale. 2 members of the team shot and killed Hale. And we're hearing from a woman who says Hale reached out to her yesterday morning. Averiana Patton was a teammate on Hale's basketball team back in middle school. And Patton says that Hale sent her an Instagram message yesterday saying that Hale was prepared to die and that Patton would see it on the news.
I didn't. I don't know. I don't know where she was, you know, what she was dealing with. I don't know.
Says that when she received that message, she called the suicide prevention hotline. Operators told Patton to call the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office told her to call Nashville Police non-emergency line. And she says Nashville Police told Pat that they would send an officer to her home, but that officer didn't arrive until 5 hours later. The investigation into that shooting continues this afternoon, Michelle.
All right, Brian Schrader, thank you.
Clouds will thicken up through the afternoon, and rain is on the way tonight. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a look at the timeline on Futurecast.
Here's a look at the big picture. We do have a front that's sitting pretty far to our south. Our wind on the north side of that front is coming out of the north, so it's a little cooler for today. You've probably noticed it if you've been out. And we're seeing some sunshine on and off. Right here along this front will be a low pressure system that started to develop, and you can begin to see that as that lifts northward, it will help to develop some showers over the area. Already well ahead of that. We have a few sprinkles showing up on the radar back to our west. Most of that as it moves eastward is going to evaporate as it moves into a drier air mass. So here we are at lunchtime. You can see that leading edge of some of that rain trying to move toward Roxborough and South Hill. Notice it doesn't really make much headway until closer to 5 o'clock. So it looks like that rain's fairly close to us. It keeps trying to move in, but the leading edge of it dissipates until, like I said, right around 5 o'clock. So South Hill and Roxborough could begin to see some showers during the evening commute. The rest of it's likely to be between 6 and 7 that we start to see that in our western counties, and then gradually that pushes eastward. By 8 or 9 o'clock, it's covering the bulk of the viewing area. There may be some pockets where that's fairly heavy, but a lot of it will be fairly light. There may be a rumble of thunder or two, but there's not likely to be severe weather with this. By 4 a.m., it's basically over, and we'll begin to see a few breaks in the clouds during the morning. We still have a flow coming out of the northeast behind this system, and that's going to leave things pretty chilly for Wednesday. I'll show you the temperatures coming up. Here's a look at that chance of rain. We bumped it up to just a 20% chance this evening. And then once we get to 8, 9 o'clock, it really starts to ramp up. And then, of course, is over between 4 and 5 a.m. More rain in our forecast as we get into the weekend, late Friday into Saturday. We'll go over the timeline for that coming up.
We're working to learn the identity of the 3 men who were injured after a shooting at a shopping center. It happened near Raleigh Boulevard, near the Food Lion there. And WRAL's Chelsea Donovan is live on the scene where dozens of bullet holes and shattered glass paint an alarming picture. This is a big response here overnight, Chelsea.
Yeah, and what's left from that shooting is really unbelievable, Jeff. Look at these cinder blocks that are just marked by bullet holes. These are not small bullet holes. We are at that shopping center where that Food Lion is, and all up and down this area, more than 60 bullet holes I've counted. You can even see a bullet hole still stuck into this cinder block here. The majority of the bullets here at Lamb's Garden, they have spent the morning cleaning up, trying to figure out if they're going to open today. They've had shattered glass. They even had blood inside of their restaurant here, and so they are trying to get things back to normal. But like I said, most of the shops here in this community have been hit by bullets in an alarming amount. Let's show you some video from last night. Officers were at this scene until 2 a.m. Right now, they're still searching for the gunman. This is an investigation that is active and ongoing. We know that 3 men were injured in this shooting Monday night. This was a shooting that caused a massive police response at this Raleigh shopping center. All 3 of those that were injured were taken to Wake Med. Witnesses here say they heard what sounded like fireworks, and then, of course, the shots got louder and louder. If you take us back here live, now you can see some of these shots that people were hearing and listening to radio traffic this morning. They describe more than 25 to 30 shots, but obviously we're seeing more than that here this morning, and this goes up and down this entire strip mall. We're awaiting word from police about suspect information about the condition of these 3 folks that were injured, and of course we'll bring you that information. And you'll hear from some of these shop owners who are trying to figure out what to do next, because obviously something like this not only is terrifying but is impacting their business here. Jeff.
All right, Chelsea Donovan live in Raleigh for us this noon. Chelsea, thank you.
And happening now in the WRAL Live Center, a move to get new information about the troop withdrawal that happened in Afghanistan back in 2021. We all remember these scenes of desperate people trying to leave that country back in November of 2021, in the summer, actually, I should say. The head of the House Foreign Relations Committee now says he would subpoena Secretary of State Antony Blinken for documents the panel has requested for months on what the Congressman Michael McCall is referring to as a botched U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. The State Department spokesperson says the agency will comply with that request and turn over relevant information related to that troop withdrawal. According to Congressman McCall, though, despite that statement, his office has yet to receive those documents. This is a developing story that we will continue to track here in the WRAL Live Center, of course, in our news starting at 4.
All right, Ken, thank you. An effort to legalize sports betting in North Carolina could take a big step forward today. The bill is expected to get a full vote on the floor of the state house. A similar measure failed last year by a single vote in the House. Governor Cooper supports the bill and included $85 million from sports betting tax revenue in his budget plan. And a years-long push to require North Carolina sheriffs to cooperate with federal immigration agents is expected to move forward today. The state house will vote on the cooperation bill. It also forces sheriffs to check the immigration status of anyone arrested and hold them in jail, even if they bond out, as long as ICE agents want to interview them. Wake is one of the counties sheriffs have refused on constitutional grounds. Governor Cooper vetoed this bill before, but GOP lawmakers might be able to override his veto this time.
Let's take a look at stocks this noon as we've reached the midday trading point right now. It's a mixed bag. Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 65 points right now. NASDAQ is down 70. S&P 500 is down 4 points this noon. And coming up next at noon, a deadly fire at a Mexican immigration detention facility. How dozens died and the shocking reason behind the cause of the fire.
Also, hundreds of thousands of dollars in counterfeit clothing, purses, and shoes. How customs agents confiscated the designer fakes.
Plus, monitoring office productivity at 12:30. How workers are pushing back on their bosses.
Download the new WRAL streaming apps on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, and Android TV.
And here in the WRAL Live Center, we continue to track that breaking news of President Biden paying a visit to the Triangle. I want to take you to these live pictures happening right now at Joint Base Andrews. You can see Air Force One taxiing down the runway, getting ready to take off, bound for the Triangle. The president will be landing at RD International in about an hour or so. As we've been reporting, the president will be visiting Wolfspeed to kick off his Investing in America tour. Of course, we have live team coverage of the president's visit as he arrives here in the Triangle.
Meantime, Ken, at least 36 migrants were killed in a fire at an immigration facility in Mexico. It happened last night at the National Institute of Migration in Juarez, just across the U.S.-Mexico border from El Paso, Texas. Another 21 people were taken to local hospitals with serious injuries. Mexico's president says the fire started when people in the facility lit mattresses on fire in protest when they found out they were being deported. An investigation is underway. At least 2 people were killed, several injured in a knife attack in Portugal. Police say a man carrying a large knife was behind the attack at the Shia Muslim Center. The attacker was shot after refusing to lay down his weapon and approaching the officers with a knife. He was arrested and taken to the hospital. Ismailis are a minority, within Shia Islam, whose members have been attacked by extremist groups in countries like Pakistan.
The South Carolina hunting estate belonging to convicted murderer Alex Murdaugh has a new owner. The 1,700-acre property sold last week for $2.6 million. Murdaugh's wife and son, Maggie and Paul, were shot and killed there back in 2021. Murdaugh was convicted for their murders earlier this month. Contents from the property went up for auction last week in Georgia. And customs officers in Virginia confiscated more than $700,000 of designer brand counterfeits, including clothing, purses, and shoes. Officers say the shipment originated in Seoul, South Korea, and was sent to Chesapeake. The load contained dozens of items with trademarks including Burberry, Gucci, Hermes, and Louis Vuitton. The investigation is ongoing. So far, no one has been charged.
Investigators believe the largest heist in Colorado history was an inside job. Police say a cashier at a casino stole $500,000, but she says she did nothing wrong. Video shows the woman grabbing bricks of cash and putting it into a box. She then put what appears to be rags on top of it, taped it, shut it, and drove away. The head of gaming says in over 30 years, he's never heard of anything like this.
It would have to have defeated a number of different levels of controls within the casino property for that to occur.
The woman says a caller identifying himself as the head of operations says there was a problem with a UPS order and she needed to put the funds in a box or the casino would be in breach of contract. She says she took the money to a hospital and handed it to a man outside the emergency room. To Nebraska, state troopers took service to a new level, delivering a DoorDash meal after pulling over the driver. Troopers made the traffic stop and discovered the driver had a revoked license. So one processed the stopped driver while the other delivered the remaining 2 orders in the car.
A Soyuz spacecraft is headed to Earth without a crew. The MS-22 spacecraft undocked from the International Space Station this morning. It'll complete an automated parachute-assisted landing in Kazakhstan. The Soyuz capsule reached the ISS in September, carrying a NASA astronaut and 2 Russian cosmonauts. NASA discovered an external coolant leak in December, making a return to Earth impossible with a crew on board. 3 astronauts will return to Earth in a replacement capsule. A planetary parade is coming this week. The alignment of Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Uranus will become visible on Friday and continue that way over the next couple of weeks. Onlookers should be able to catch the best glimpse of the 5-planet alignment this evening, just after sunset. It will be visible just underneath the crescent moon across the northern and southern hemispheres. Alignments like this one appear every few years or so. So that's pretty cool.
What will it mean for us?
Well, I know, and because we are expecting some possible rain later on today, so hopefully that's not going to disrupt the cool planets that we could see, Elizabeth. Oh boy,
not gonna happen.
Not gonna happen.
No.
Okay,
it's a bummer, isn't it? Too much cloud cover out there. We're seeing more and more cloud cover right now. You can see the clouds here on the satellite and radar view, so it's just going to be too cloudy to see that. We're going to see that wave of low pressure moving northward, increasing our cloud cover and helping to bring us a few showers. And right about the time that we would want to see that, about 7 is about the time the rain really starts to move in. So here's 3 o'clock. We have a band of rain that starts to move into our northern counties around 5 or so. Roxborough, South Hill, likely to see that. And then between 5 and 7, we see it moving in closer to the triangle from Raleigh to Fayetteville to Southern Pines and westward. After 7 o'clock, it continues to push eastward. And then it's going to be with us all night. So from this evening, right around dinner time, all the way up until around 4 or 5 a.m., we're going to see these showers. It may be heavy at times, light at times, could be a rumble of thunder, but I wouldn't expect there to be any severe storms. As we get into the morning hours tomorrow, we'll likely see a few breaks in the clouds, especially the farther north and west you go. It may be a bit cloudier for a while down to the south and east. But you can see how cloudy it is right now here. It's really a high, thin cloud cover. There are a few shadows out there in Pinehurst at Pinehurst Resort and Country Club, but definitely looking, a little bit on the grayer side, and that will just increase through the afternoon. 65 degrees, so not as warm as it was yesterday. We're going to hold it right here in the mid to upper 60s all the way into the evening. Our temperature in Roxborough, 61, 59 in South Hill, 66 in Southern Pines, 69 in Clinton. So it's pleasant out there, just, close to normal. 67 is our normal high. Tomorrow, even cooler with a northeasterly flow. We're going to hold it right there at 61, but we should see some gradual clearing through the afternoon. Thursday looks like a nice day, partly cloudy and 70, but we'll see increasing clouds on Friday with a chance of rain Friday night into Saturday. Friday, 78, 81 on Saturday. So those temperatures look great. You can see the warmth that was with us sliding on out, and the cooler temperatures will be with us for the next day or so. And then we start to see that warmth building again for Friday and Saturday. But we're going to have that potential for some showers. The Durham Bulls home opener, will it rain? Right now, it looks like there could be some rain maybe at the end of the game. But this is likely to change. We're going to see a lot more runs of the computer models between now and Friday. So keep checking back. We'll maybe adjusting that a little earlier, a little later, depending on the information that we get in. But it should be nice temperature-wise, 73 degrees as they throw out the first pitch at 6:35. Checking through the weekend, of course, Saturday and Sunday, the Dreamville Festival. That rain that may pick up late Friday will continue into Saturday, but it's not likely to rain all day. I'll show you the timeline for Saturday's showers coming up.
All right, thanks, Elizabeth. Tonight on WRAL News, taking steps to improve student mental health across North Carolina. The new action plan released by the state today that invests $1 billion to our schools.
And this year's Dreamville Music Festival is expected to bring thousands of people to Raleigh, but finding a hotel could be tricky. On our evening news, WRAL explains where you can still book and how much you could be paying. And still ahead this noon, you might notice fewer dining options the next time you order food through Uber Eats. Why the company decided it was time to pare down the app.
Plus, it appears to be the end of an era for millions of Americans. How work from home figures from last year compared to 2021. Welcome back. You were looking live at a beautiful Carolina beach. You're watching WRAL News, available on YouTube TV and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device. Some celebrities are not happy with Twitter's plans to charge for a blue check mark, and a major recall of beef is underway. Those are among today's business headlines with Maribel Aber.
More than 1.5 tons of ground beef is being recalled due to concerns about E. coli. The boneless beef chuck was packaged on February 16th by Elkhorn Valley Packing. The meat was shipped to retail and wholesale locations as well as restaurants and hotels. It was sent to locations in 9 states, including Illinois, Indiana, and Michigan. You can find a list of the serial numbers of the packaging for the recalled meat on the Department of Agriculture's website. DoorDash is expanding its offerings to consumers. The delivery company will work with Victoria's Secret, Lush Cosmetics, and Party City to bring more goods to your home. In working with Party City, DoorDash will offer access to items from 700 stores nationwide. That means everything from balloons, seasonal decorations, and costumes will be available for on-demand delivery. Shoppers can also have body lotions and gift sets from Lush Cosmetics delivered, as well as pajamas, fragrances, and lingerie from Victoria's Secret. William Shatner, for one, is not happy about the prospect of having to pay for his blue check mark on Twitter. The Star Trek actor says for 15 years he's been giving away his thoughts for, quote, bupkis on the platform. He asked why he should have to pay $84 a year to do so now. Shatner and others are questioning Twitter's plan to remove the blue checks from high-profile accounts unless they pay for a subscription to Twitter Blue. Elon Musk says it's a way to treat everyone equally with no different standard for celebrities on the platform. And those are your business headlines. I'm Maribel Aber at the NASDAQ market site.
Carnival cruises are sailing into the sun. According to the cruise line, bookings for future cruises during the first quarter of 2023 reached its highest volumes for any quarter in its history. In fact, future bookings broke records for its North America and Australia segment, as well as its Europe segment. This despite higher ticket prices this year. Carnival says it expects the growth to continue.
Rideshare Lyft hopes a new CEO will help them keep up with its competitor, Uber. The ride-hailing company announced that former Amazon executive David Risher will take the helm next month. The company's co-founders say they'll step down from their roles as CEO and president, but will remain members of the board. This comes as the company is struggling to turn a profit. Uber Eats is working to declutter its platform by removing about 5,000 virtual restaurants. That represents about 13% of the virtual restaurants on the app. Virtual restaurants are also known as ghost kitchens. They serve customers only through delivery or apps like Uber Eats. The problem is that some restaurants are listing the same menu under different names to try to attract more customers.
Coming up, we are expecting President Biden to arrive in North Carolina within the hour. We have a live picture of RDU for you, where Air Force One will land. Durham is the first stop on his Investing in America tour. A preview of his stop and what he's expected to say.
Plus, new data from the Department of Labor details how many Americans are returning to the office following the pandemic, how the numbers compare to pre-pandemic levels. And here are your winning lottery numbers on your screen right now.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Thanks for staying with us this noon as you look live at RDU International Airport, where President Joe Biden is expected to arrive within the hour. He's kicking off his 3-week Invest in America tour with a visit to Wolf Speed in Durham. It's the first of his 20-state tour to highlight the impact of his economic agenda.
And the president is flying into RDU. He'll arrive there soon. WRAL's Matt Tallholm is there right now awaiting the arrival of Air Force One, a highly anticipated arrival, Matt.
Yeah, Michelle, you know, it's always exciting when Air Force One flies into your city here. The president is on board the plane right now. It just took off about 15 minutes ago. We expect right about here, about 150 feet behind me is where Air Force One, the presidential plane, will pull up. When the president gets off the plane here, he'll be greeted by Governor Roy Cooper, Durham Mayor Elaine O'Neill, and County Commissioner Chairwoman Brenda Howerton. Now, we want to show you some video of the president taking off from Air Force One at Andrews Air Force Base just outside D.C. just within the last 15 minutes. From here, once the plane arrives here, they will take their motorcade about a 5-mile drive or so, 8-9 minutes for most of us, but a lot faster when you're in the presidential motorcade because those roads are all cleared. They'll head over to Wolf Speed, which is on Silicon Drive in Durham. We did see a lot of Durham police motorcycle crews pulling up here to lead that trip. The Durham police did post just within the last hour or so on Facebook about some closures they want you to know about. So if you are traveling in this area, South Miami Boulevard, as well as I-40 and 540 Page Road and Chin Page Road, those will be closed throughout at different points as the presidential motorcade makes its way from here at RDU out to the Wolf Speed facility. Now, as we come back out here live, there are still commercial planes taking off, so obviously Air Force One is not close enough within the area, but we do expect within the next 45 minutes or so for Air Force One to arrive here. That's when the president then will head over to Wolf Speed for a 1:30 tour of that chip maker facility there. WRAL Sarah Kruger is there and will bring coverage to you from that point. But at this point, we are just awaiting here. You can see very quiet tarmac at the airport awaiting the Air Force One arrival here.
All right, Matt Telhelm live at RDU for us. Thanks, Matt.
2 Raleigh police officers are on administrative leave after shooting and killing a man who they say fired at them. Our team was there yesterday morning as investigators blocked off areas within blocks of Ligon Middle School. The school went into a code yellow lockdown for a short period of time. Police say they were responding to reports of someone firing into occupied cars. Officers say the man fired shots at them before they returned fire, killing him. Police have not released his name. In about 30 minutes, Wake County Safety and Security Committee will meet to discuss ways to prevent school violence and potential security weaknesses. This meeting comes one day after that deadly shooting in Nashville, Tennessee. It also follows a series of threats and guns found on Wake County school campuses earlier this year. Today's closed session meeting begins at 1 o'clock. This evening, faith leaders will gather to talk about the impact of anti-Semitism on the Durham community. They'll join university professors to host a forum at St. Joseph AME Church on Fayetteville Street. It comes days after the Anti-Defamation League reported anti-Semitic incidents reached an all-time high in the U.S. last year. The number in North Carolina nearly doubled from the year before. Tonight's forum starts at 6 p.m.
And happening now in the WRAL Live Center, we want to take you live to Capitol Hill. The U.S. Senate Banking Committee holding hearings at this hour about the recent collapse of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank. That's Michael Barr that you just saw right there, the Vice Chair of the Federal Reserve. Of course, that's North Carolina Senator Thom Tillis questioning federal regulators, including Barr, about what happened with created these banking collapse, what could have been done to prevent it, and more importantly, how to prevent this from happening in the future. Of course, this hearing comes one day after North Carolina-based First Citizens Bank finalized plans to purchase Silicon Valley Bank. Again, that's North Carolina Senator Thom Tillis among the lawmakers questioning federal regulators today about the recent banking collapse of those two banks. We'll keep following this story here in the WRAL Live Center.
We'll learn more today about the plans to rename Fort Bragg as Fort Liberty. Leaders with the military post are holding a roundtable discussion. You can see some Fort Bragg signs have already started to come down. We know the official redesignation date for Fort Liberty is planned for June 2nd. The change was ordered because the original namesake has ties to the Confederacy. 8 other military posts nationwide must also change names by the end of this year. And Fort Hood in Texas is being renamed. That's one of them. A ceremony will take place in May to rename the Army base after General Richard Edward Caravas pronounced Cervaros. He made military history back in 1982 when he became the Army's first Hispanic 4-star general. He served in the Army for 33 years and was known for his leadership skills. He died in 2017. Fort Hood is currently named after Lieutenant General John Bell Hood. He was a Confederate leader during the Civil War.
As companies install surveillance software to monitor productivity, workers are pushing back and getting creative, coming up with hacks and tricks in an effort to make it appear like they're busy on the job. But how effective is it? NBC's Vicki Nguyen has the possible consequences.
From sneaking in a midday nap to enjoying a bare minimum Monday, and the latest, rage applying.
What's that? Apparently it's the new quiet quitting. Oh yeah, isn't that when you apply to a gazillion other jobs because you feel undervalued, underpaid, and stressed at your current toxic one?
Workers now dealing with multiple work scenarios. Half are back in the office, 28% working remotely, and 18% doing a hybrid of both. It's prompting some companies to install so-called tattleware, software that tracks employees working on company devices like phones, tablets, and computers. In some cases, measuring productivity by recording keystrokes or tracking email. Others can take random screenshots of what's on your computer. And some can even take photos of you using the computer's built-in camera. Monitoring software is a billion-dollar industry, expected to double by 2030.
I think employers feel increasingly out of control of the workforce.
J.S. Nelson is a professor of law at Harvard and Villanova, specializing in workplace surveillance and management.
How worried should workers be? Well, you know your company. Is this being used in some way to supplement the information that the employer needs somehow? Or really is this an excuse for poor management?
Nelson points to common tricks popular on social media, like this mouse jiggler with a rotating base, or this USB dongle and this free software, all designed to keep the cursor randomly moving across the screen. Nelson says these products are often marketed as undetectable to IT departments.
It's not true. No, that's not true.
If you're a worker who is caught using some of this technology, what can happen?
You could be fired.
Can your employer penalize you financially?
It depends on what kind of contract you've signed and what the agreement is with the employer.
So there could be a financial impact to this kind of cheating.
I haven't seen that yet in employment contracts, but what I have seen is people disciplined.
Pretty tricky stuff. That was Vicki Nguyen reporting. More than 72% of businesses say their employees rarely worked from home last year. It's a report that shows roughly 21 million more employees are back in the office full-time compared to 2021. Now, the new figure is close to the amount of businesses that reported not having remote staff before the pandemic. Businesses continue to push for more workers to return to the office in person due to productivity concerns.
Coming up, high blood pressure affects millions of Americans. The warning doctors have for pregnant women.
Also, an antitrust lawsuit against Amazon is moving forward. What the company is accused of doing.
Our county-by-county coverage takes us to Johnston, Moore, and Wilson counties. Nurses at Johnston Community College will get a special gift today to encourage them to stay on track and finish their nursing degrees. The Gale Healthcare Foundation is announcing $30,000 in scholarships. The donation comes as concerns grow about a nursing shortage. Recent surveys show a third of nurses across our state are burned out from the pandemic. And traveling from Southern Pines to Raleigh could soon involve a train ride. The State Department of Transportation is presenting a plan to extend commuter rail services between the two cities today. The proposal focuses on the S line, which stretches from Virginia down to Tampa, Florida. The DOT says commuter rail service could reduce traffic. Today's presentation to Southern Pines Town Council is at 3 p.m. And the city of Wilson will receive a $400,000 accessibility for Parks grant to construct an all-children's splash pad at Gillette Athletic Complex. Wilson received the full amount requested. The splash pad will include water elements for children, including special features for children with physical or intellectual disabilities. No timeline has been set for construction.
Tonight, the State Department of Health and Human Services will hold a special town hall to provide answers about health care to our Spanish-speaking population. The goal is to connect members of the Spanish-speaking community with the resources they need on health visits and preventative care. They are designing tonight's session for farm workers and the issues they face. It runs from 6 to 7 p.m. on the department's social media accounts. Nearly half of American adults have high blood pressure. Even more concerning, hypertensive disorders in pregnancy are on the rise. The CDC reports high blood pressure is seen in 1 in every 12 to 17 pregnancies among women ages 20 to 44 in the United States. Women must be screened for high blood pressure before, during, and after pregnancy.
We have chronic hypertension. This is a woman who was given a diagnosis of hypertension even when she was not pregnant, or who was diagnosed with hypertension before the 20th week of pregnancy. That is chronic hypertension. Then we have gestational hypertension. As the word gestation, this is hypertension after 20 weeks of pregnancy.
Women over the age of 40 have an increased risk of developing hypertensive disorders during pregnancy, as well as those with diabetes, immune system disorders like lupus, or women who went through in vitro fertilization.
A priceless piece of art hits the auction block today, and the family didn't even know they were sitting on a small fortune, where appraisers found the cherished canvas.
Plus, Netflix is filled with movie titles, but did you know there are other movies that aren't even listed? We'll tell you how to find them later.
New into the WRAL Live Center this noon hour. Take a look at this picture, this mugshot right here. Wilson County Sheriff's Office announcing the arrest of this man, Rasheem Battle, for the murder of 14-year-old Bernard Williams. This is a story we've been covering since over the weekend. Deputies took him into custody overnight without incident at his home on Briggs Street in Wilson. Battle is now in the Wilson County Detention Center charged with first-degree murder, no bond. Williams' body was found over the weekend. He was shot to death. We'll continue to follow the story. Look for updates in our news starting at 4 right here in WRAL.
Well, here's one for you. A routine trip to the appraiser could net a family in Paris nearly $1 million. For years, the family hung what they thought was a fake painting by a 17th century Dutch painter behind a door. The painting is titled The Village Lawyer, but it is one of the largest versions known to have been produced, over 3.5 feet tall, 6 feet wide. The canvas will be auctioned today, and to prove it's real, it's expected to fetch up to $840,000.
I have some paintings in my storage unit.
Oh.
I think I'm going to go down there and just bring them to an appraiser and pray that it's worth a couple $100,000.
You need some
never
help?
know. You want to help?
Sure.
If he gets half, he'll help, right?
That's what I was angling for right there.
Yeah.
Picture perfect outside right now. Anyway, Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with what's ahead.
Yeah, we're looking at rain rolling in tonight. It looks like it's going to come through starting in our western counties right about sunset. It's around 7 or 8 o'clock, and then turning widespread after 8 o'clock across the viewing area. Temperatures are going to be a little cool today and tomorrow, and then start to warm back up for Thursday, and it'll feel nice getting into the weekend. We do have a front that comes through late Friday into Saturday, and that could affect some weekend plans across the area. A couple of big things. We have the opening night for the Durham Bulls on Friday. Could be some rain toward the end of the game, and then of course the huge Dreamville Festival in Raleigh. Could be some rain for that on Saturday. Right now we take a look at Goldsboro, Apex, Chapel Hill, and in Fayetteville. Mostly we're seeing cloud cover. However, you can see the shadow of the building here right outside the Fayetteville newsroom. So we're seeing a mix of sun and clouds across our area. We have a low pressure system that is riding up this front, and that's going to help to produce some showers over our area. Already starting to see a little bit of rain back to the west, but we have a very dry air mass in place over our viewing area. So as those showers move eastward, a lot of that is evaporating or dissipating before it reaches us. You can see here on Futurecast some of those waves trying to make a little headway. Finally, by around 5 o'clock, we could see a few isolated showers around Roxborough or South Hill. And then at 7, we start to see it moving into the Sandhills, approaching the Triangle. And then by 8 or 9 o'clock, it's spread all across the viewing area. There are going to be some pockets where it could be heavy. There are going to be some pockets where it's very light. Could be a rumble of thunder. But we're not likely to see anything severe with this. And it's out of here before the morning commute. So there's 4 a.m. You can watch it zipping on out. 7, 8 o'clock, we might start to see a few holes in the clouds. I think it'll be closer to lunchtime before we see too much sunshine tomorrow, though. Then the next front arrives on Saturday, and ahead of that front, there could be some rain later on Friday, right there around 8 to 9 o'clock. We start to see a few light showers popping up. Doesn't look like anything that's very heavy, and it could be that the models back off on that some, and we may end up being dry Friday night. Saturday morning, a few light showers, and then once we get closer to lunchtime, early afternoon, the front itself moves through, and you can see some lingering showers there. So I think mid to late afternoon should be the end of the rain. And of course, the big festival there at Dix Park, Dreamville, starts at around lunchtime and goes until midnight. So it may not rain the entire time, but it may be sort of the first half, from the morning hours up to mid to late afternoon. And then the evening may be dry. 81, it's going to be warm on Saturday. Dry on Sunday, but cooler with a high of 67. Some of that rain may help to bring our pollen counts down a little bit. It is high right now for oak, maple, pine, and mulberry, as you would expect. Our temperature dips down tomorrow to 61, so it's going to be a fairly cool day. We bounce back to 70 Thursday, and then, of course, to 81 on Saturday, and then we're back down to normal Sunday, just above that on Monday.
Thanks for that, Elizabeth. Get ready to expand your Netflix library, how you can find obscure movies on your streaming service.
And as we head to break, here's a look at your winning Powerball numbers. Good luck.
We wrap things up with a look at a few of the headlines we are following for you today. President Biden is headed to the Triangle right now. This is a live look out at RDU. The president will land and then speak at Wolfspeed in Durham, a facility about the importance of investing in American companies. Wolfspeed makes semiconductors, and it recently announced a $5 billion investment to expand its presence in North Carolina.
And Nashville police have released body camera video of their response to yesterday's school shooting. We do not see or hear any students in that video. You see officers making their way down the hallways, checking classrooms. The officers hear gunfire, then run upstairs and confront 28-year-old Audrey Hale. 2 members of the team shot and killed Hale.
We're working to learn the identity of 3 men who were injured in a shooting at a shopping center. It happened near Raleigh Boulevard, near a Food Lion there. Multiple businesses were hit by gunfire, and there are dozens of bullet holes and shattered glass at the scene.
An antitrust lawsuit against Amazon is moving forward. A judge yesterday denied the company's efforts to have the lawsuit tossed out. Amazon is accused of punishing sellers for listing goods at lower prices on other sites. It's also accused of artificially increasing the prices that buyers pay. The lawsuit has estimated the damages at up to $172 billion.
Your next Netflix obsession could be just a code away. The streaming service has a hidden menu that offers hundreds of movies and TV shows. All you need to access the trove of hidden content are unique codes, and those codes give subscribers access to specific genres such as small-town charm, schemers and scammers, even 90-minute movies. You can find the codes at netflix-codes.com.
Our pet of the day has successfully raised her 6 puppies, and now she's eagerly looking for a loving family to call her own. This is Meredith. She's a friendly 24-pound beagle with a beautiful grayish coat. Meredith and her 6 newborn puppies were rescued from a backyard breeding situation in Cherokee County, North Carolina. She enjoys going for walks, playing with other dogs, and is great with kids. To learn more about adopting Meredith, please visit trybeagles.org.
Look at that face.
I know.
How could you not? Well, this is a concerning statistic. The number of anti-Semitic hate crimes has increased in the last years. Now, today on WRAL News at 4, WRAL's data trackers are looking into the incidents ahead of a conversation with local leaders.
And the first of 3 rounds of layoffs is set to begin this week at Disney. In all, 7,000 people are expected to lose their jobs out of more than 200,000 employees who work there. The layoffs are slated to be completed before summer. Disney is trying to save several $billion. We're
going to take you back out to RDU right now. This is a live look here from our WRAL Live Cam network. The president is on his way to the Triangle. Joe Biden will land momentarily here on Air Force One. We saw off the top of this newscast, he got off of Marine One at Joint Base Andrews, got onto Air Force One. We saw him take off, and now we are expecting him to land and then head over to Wolfspeed.
Yes, we have team coverage of his visit today. And NBC News Daily is next on WRAL. Your next local news update is in 30 minutes.
You can get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. Have a great day and continue to follow WRAL and WRAL.com.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air channel 34 and Spectrum channel 1257.